this is where my emergency brownies come in. They don't take very long and you don't need very many ingredients, but what you end up with are 2 large fudgy squares to be snaffled still warm and squidgy, straight from the tin if need be. So when your knead is great, put 50 grams of soft unsalted butter into a pan, then sprinkle over 50 grams of soft light brown sugar. Add a tablespoonful of amber maple syrup, though you could always use golden syrup. Put it on a gentle heat and give it a stir every now and then. When it's all melted, take the pan off the heat, add 3 tablespoons of cocoa to 3 tablespoons of plain flour already in a bowl, along with 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt flakes. Mix together, then stir them into the waiting saucepan. Crack an egg into a bowl, add a teaspoon of vanilla extract, then lightly whisk together. Then add this to the saucepan and stir again until everything is smoothly and glossily combined. Tip in 50 grams of chocolate chips and the same weight of walnut pieces and give everything a final stir. I always bake my emergency brownies in one of those little foil tins that looks like you've got takeaway food. Scrape every last bit of the nubbly fudgy batter into the tin and bake in an oven at 170 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes, by which time the top will be just set and the edges coming away from the tin. If at all possible, and I know it's a big ask, let the brownies stand out of the oven for 20 or 30 minutes before diving in. When I lived in Italy a very long time ago, I used to go to a cafe round the corner from where I lived every morning for breakfast. And what this often meant was a slice of torta di riso, fragrant with lemon and vanilla. And, you know, this just means rice cake in Italian. But I think about it often, and I really wanted to come up with my own version that evoked rather the traditional rice pudding of my childhood. And this is the happy result. My rice pudding cake, definitely more Anglo than Italian. First, I need to cook the rice. So into my pan goes 150 grams of arborio rice, followed by 700 mils of full-fat milk, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and the finely grated zest of a lemon. Then I stir everything together, letting it come almost to the boil, then simmer until the rice is cooked and the milk absorbed. To help it cool quickly, I spoon this into a large bowl and I enrich it by stirring in 75 grams of unsalted butter. The rice and milk mixture has cooled, and I am turning it into a cake. No flour is involved, just 3 eggs at room temperature, and I'm dealing with the yolks first. To the yolks, I'm going to add 75 grams of caster sugar and get a whisking. And you can, use an electric mixer, but really it's quite easy. Just whisk away to make them just lighter and slightly fluffier. Very good for the triceps, or at least the right one. And to this slightly moussey yolk mixture, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, from the lemon that I zested and put in with the rice and milk, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. There is something for me, intrinsically Italian about the mixture of lemon and vanilla together. Right, here is the rice. Okay, little by little. Beautiful. Let's fold it all in together. It is looking a bit like tinned rice pudding now. Not that that's a bad thing, of course. It's a process-heavy cake, you could say, but each process is undemanding and pleasurable. Last bit. So that's the yolks, and of course I could whisk the whites by hand, but I'm not going to. I want them properly stiff. The air whisked into the yolks and the whites make this fabulously light. Nearly there. And that's perfect. After the midsummer sun of the yolks, the midwinter snow of the whites, I stir in the first dollop of whites briskly to lighten the mixture, and then gently and gradually fold in the rest. Oh, that was very straightforward. This mixture goes into the tin goes into the oven, and our rice pudding cake is made. Oh, it is so creamy. It has a certain soft solidity, and I know that solidity may not be your aim when making cakes, but this is just perfect. There's something I have to do to it, which is really makes it very unlike any Italian rice cake, which is add grated nutmeg. Absolutely the scent of rice pudding. Although it needs only 45 minutes in a low oven, and by low I mean 160 Celsius or 140 if you've got the fan on, it really does need to sit once it's out of the oven. In fact, I leave it for an hour. It's still got the warm breath of the oven on it, but it is the perfect temperature. Although having said that, any leftovers are sensational for breakfast, eaten cold the next morning. Right, to the oven. Italian torta di riso meets old-fashioned British rice pudding. No complaints here. And I like to eat it with a sauce that's made simply by heating up some seedless raspberry jam with lemon juice for sharpness. And the thing about this is that it's so infinitely comforting and yet elegant with it. I've always been something of a pavaholic, and my latest creation is a lemon one. A combination of marshmallow sweetness, smooth, cool cream, and tangy citrus is just rhapsodic. I make the Pavlova's billowy base in advance. To do this, I start by whisking egg whites. What I'm I'm waiting for is the stage at which they form satiny peaks. Then I patiently beat in my caster sugar, 1 spoon at a time. Patience is not one of my outstanding qualities, but it's necessary here. I derive great satisfaction from watching the meringue slowly become glossier. Once the mixture is stiff and shiny, I turn meringue into Pavlova base to be with the addition of 2 ingredients. First, corn flour. Usually this is combined with vinegar in a pav, but this being a lemon Pavlova, I'm using lemon juice, as well as the finely grated zest, which is where all the flavour resides. Then it's a case of just folding everything gently together. Now, a little culinary crafting. I dab the 4 corners of a sheet of greaseproof paper with the mixture I have left on the whisk, which will act as a glue to stop the sheet slipping on the baking tray. I adore how the snowy marshmallow spills onto the sheet in all its alpine glory. I'm aiming for a regular circular shape, or as regular as I can get it, which means a lot of flattening and smoothing, but I find this rather restful. It'll take about an hour to cook, and then it can be left to cool in the switched-off oven. I'll wait till just before my friends arrive tomorrow before piling it up into a Pavlova proper. The Pavlova base is cooled, and it's been cooled for a while and resting. Cracks will appear, don't worry. This happens, and besides, as ever, I flip it over. I always do this because I love the way the tender part of the Pavlova base, like a marshmallow, hits the smoothness of the cream. But actually, I am departing from tradition here because what goes on next is not cream, but lemon curd. I'm happy to use lemon curd from a jar, providing it's good and zingy, and if not, you can always add some lemon zest and lemon juice. Don't be alarmed if some of it drips down the side of the meringue base. I rather love that. Push it to the sides. It will drip more as it stands. And I shall drape the curd with the cream, whipped, but not too whipped. Coax it to the edges. I've got a lot of almonds I've toasted, by which I mean I've tossed them out in a dry, hot frying pan until they're this colour. You need a lot. This isn't just decoration. It's so that you get a good amount of crunch. I always think of this a bit like an upside-down lemon meringue pie. And finally, some lemon zest. And I just can't wait to sink into this lemony lusciousness.